Thanks to Sony Australia and Camera Electronics, I've managed to get my hands on this little guy. This is the Sony RX0 Mark II. I've only got it for a couple of days, so I'm going to head down to Scarborough Beach, meet up with my mate Andrew Dawes, and we're going to check out what this tiny little camera can do. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, so if you need a website, a domain or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. So with the original RX0 that came out around about 18 months ago, Sony seemed to be aiming at the action and adventure camera market. Let's face it, it's toughly built, it pretty much looks the same size and shape as a GoPro, but with some better features, like the 1-inch 15.3 megapixel sensor and the fixed 24mm f4 Zeiss lens. Sony has kept these in this upgraded version, but has packed a bunch of really interesting additions, like 4K video recorded internally, image stabilization and improved IAF. And this, yep, it's a flip screen, the smallest I've ever seen. They seem to be targeting a different audience. Question is, will these improvements help broaden the appeal of the RX0 Mark II to a wider audience? Add your thoughts in the comments below. That's the microphone on the top there.
Oh yeah, cool.
It has got a microphone in.
Yeah, I saw that.
Another thing that I need for vlogging, of course, is good audio. And there is a built-in mic here, but I've got a feeling that the built-in mic is going to pick up, or it's not going to be particularly good quality in these conditions. It's very, very windy. At the moment, the mic is not even being protected by the little flip-up screen. So that's why I've got this lav mic on here also. So hopefully with the lav mic, it's a little bit better quality. That's the good thing about the RX0 Mark II, is that it's got a microphone in port. So you can actually attach a lav mic or a small microphone and get better quality. I did notice that in the settings, there is a section where you can put on a wind noise reduction. I'm not 100% sure whether that works, so I'm going to try it now. So this is the audio on the RX0 Mark II with the lav mic pulled out. At the moment, I haven't got the setting on that will reduce the wind noise. I'm going to switch to that now. The lav mic is still out, but this time the wind noise reduction is set to on. So I don't know whether there's any difference in the audio. But I think it'll be much better once I plug the lav mic back in again. Now I've put the lav mic back in again, hopefully the audio is much better. And I imagine that an external mic is going to give you far better audio. Now keep in mind that these are pretty atrocious conditions for any microphone. I was actually really impressed with the way that the wind noise reduction worked on the internal mic. It's not perfect, but it could get you out of a tight spot if you've got howling wind and you've left your microphone at home. So by including an external mic input and introducing the flip screen, Sony are targeting the XR02 at vloggers and casual users who don't want big camera rigs. So these sorts of users are also going to need image stabilization, which luckily the second generation has. So it's stabilized inside the camera with software. So I'm currently walking along the beach, so it's a bit uneven. And so the camera is shaking around a little bit, and of course I've got plenty of wind. But hopefully the footage is fairly stable. The stabilization, or what Sony like to call steady shot, is not too bad. No noticeable wobble, and it works on different video options. Speaking of video options, this is another area where Sony has made some improvements. The big ticket item, of course, is 4K. While the original RX0 could record in 4K, it was only to an external recorder. The second generation has the ability to record in 4K internally. That's full pixel readout and no pixel binning. There's heaps of frame rates to choose from, up to 30 frames per second in 4K and up to 120 frames per second in 1080, and a whopping 1000 frames per second in their high frame rate mode. Sony has also included their picture profiles. I tried a few and settled on one that gave me a fairly flat look straight out of camera. With a little colour grading, the footage came up looking great. The other feature that sets the RX0 Mark II apart from other cameras of this size is the LCD screen that flips up and all the way around so you can see yourself when you're vlogging or taking selfies. Like the rest of the camera body, the hinge feels very solid, giving you the confidence that if the camera was to be dropped with the screen flipped up, it wouldn't snap off. But does it get the job done? I can see enough so that I can tell whether I'm in the frame or not, which is good enough, but I'm not too sure whether I can work out whether it's in focus or not from here. I reckon in most conditions that little monitor is good enough. Just make myself out there. Nah, see, I've lost myself again. That's turned off.
Yeah, I noticed it went into like standby mode.
I'm assuming in an effort to conserve power, after about a minute of recording, the screen dims. 10 seconds after that, it'll go blank, but the camera will continue recording. If you don't like this feature, you can easily turn it off in the settings. The size of the screen is big enough to work out what's in frame, but perhaps not quite big enough to work out what's in focus, which could pose a bit of a challenge when the RX02 only has AFS and not continuous focus. However, it does have a nice zoom feature available with the hand grip. We've been having some fun recording some B-roll, checking out some of the different video settings. It's getting dark, the sun went down around about 15 to 20 minutes ago, so I thought I'd do a quick low light vlogging test. The camera is set at 1080 at 24 frames per second. This is a 1-inch sensor, so I'm keen to get the footage on the larger laptop screen to check out whether there's any noise, but judging on the image that I can see on the LCD flip screen, it doesn't look too bad. A quick reminder that Squarespace is the sponsor for this video. If you don't know who Squarespace are, they provide an easy-to-use website building platform that I can genuinely recommend. I've been using Squarespace for my own websites for years. I love how I don't have to worry about any of the technical work associated with building or hosting a website. Updates are taken care of automatically, so all I have to do is focus on the content I want to share. You can start your free trial at squarespace.com. And if you do check them out and you want to go ahead with a website, make sure you go to squarespace.com/Andrew Marr to get 10% off your first purchase. Thanks again to Squarespace. We've had a bit of a play around with it, gone down to the beach, caught some kite surfers.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit more familiar with how it works. What do you reckon its best features are?
I think the best features is, look how small it is, really. And for something so small, to have a flip out screen, like let's not be too silly about it. This is a small screen, but the ability to see yourself or at a different angle, because you were down quite low getting some shots of the water as well.
Yep. So it's not only really helpful if you are vlogging, obviously, but I found that when you got the camera down low and the camera was really low to the sand, having that flip up screen means that it's a lot more comfortable. You're looking down, it's far easier to keep this stable, even though it's got in-body stabilization. I like that feature. So obviously the grip is quite handy. It's actually quite light, makes the whole thing quite light. One of my favorite features is the fact that it does have the input for an external mic.
Yeah.
And I think as a vlogger, particularly the way that we use it, down on the beach, it's usually windy, as you will have seen in the footage. It was blowing a gale down there, and to be able to have an external mic like the Lav, and then later on, if Sony come out with an external mic that you'll be able to use, that'll be really, really handy as well.
Yeah, and I think for the size of it too, if you do have a lav mic or a lapel mic, having that cord running down is not actually that bad of a thing, because the camera is so small. When you're not vlogging, the cord is long enough, you just slip it into your pocket and whip it back out. It's rather than, let's say a Canon M50 or one of the Fuji series with a larger Gorilla Pod. It's just not practical to put that down quickly. That's why you want that shotgun mic mounted on here, but this is small enough that it'll slip in your pocket and you can have the lav mic run up and,
Yeah.
and good to go all the time, and you get really crisp audio that way. I did like one feature though. There were multiple spots on the camera to tell you that you were recording and when you were recording. Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, for the size of essentially what is a GoPro, but now you've got a flip screen with built-in 4K. That's pretty impressive.
So another really cool feature, I reckon, are the batteries. They're nice and light. That's the fantastic thing. I'll just get this one out here. We went through one battery while we were out there. That's the second battery, and we haven't gone through that, and we were out there for probably an hour and a half. Yeah. And these are so small and tiny.
Just larger than a standard SD, really. SD card. So.
Yeah. So your options are you have a couple of them charged up, and probably 3 or 4, and you're good for a day.
Yeah, and you know, if you find yourself a USB charger and you take a battery bank with you, you can just keep going.
So big question is, who's it for?
I think it is for vloggers.
Definitely.
But I think it's definitely going to bridge the market between the adventure people who want to incorporate vlogging into whatever they do. So whether that's what I do and what Haley does, we travel around a lot. We do a lot of in and out of the cars, a lot of taking photos, landscape photography, and we're in some precarious situations sometimes. Definitely nice and light for that. And the fact that it is shockproof, waterproof, crash proof. Hopefully it's Andrew proof, because I go through cameras a lot, but definitely that size, the 4K, and having all those features of being, you know, very robust would definitely bridge that adventure filmmaker to the vlogging filmmaker.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Also, people that do a lot of hiking, so they want to reduce the amount of gear that they have. You've got the one camera that can do action, and also you can vlog with it.
Yeah.
You can do some slow-mo B-roll with it. It is starting to fill a few different niches, and in the past, I suppose, an adventurer might want to have a vlogging camera. They might have their phone, or they might have a GoPro that they've got stuck on their head,
or a chest mount.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, here you could pretty much get away with just the one.
Yeah, and definitely if you were going on a multi-day hike, plenty of batteries for this, and this is probably all you would need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where do I get one? Can I have that one?
This is the only one. That's not even mine. A big thanks to Sony Australia and Camera Electronic for letting me borrow the RX02 for this video. Sony is set to release the camera later this month, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, thanks to Andrew Dawes for helping me out with the video. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. If you found the video helpful, like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. But until next time, thanks very much for watching.